All right, hello everyone. This is Sam at Newton Public Library, and I am here with Sean Tomlinson, a great local photographer, and Sean is here with us on Zoom and Facebook Live to present photographing Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms through the seasons. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Sean.
Well, hi everybody. Yep, I'm Sean, and this is my big boy. Want to introduce yourself? How old are you? He's 5, and he has been to Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms both. Actually, we went pretty recently to Quivira. That was fun. What, do you remember what we were trying to find? Yeah. What?
Spinny ducks.
Spinny ducks. Yep, we'll get to that.
Phalo ropes.
Very good. That's right. The Wilson's phalo ropes. So let's see if I can get this thing to behave. All right. Oh, here we go. So, Cheyenne Bottom, Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms. Here's a map from Google Maps, and you know, I can see Cheyenne Bottoms Refuge right up there in the top left, but Quivira is not there. So I think it's kind of funny considering it's a wetland of international importance and because of its importance on the Central Flyway. I think everybody on the call knows that every year, many, many millions, I think it's up in the billions of birds, fly from Arctic to the Gulf and farther south and back. And they fly south in the fall and fly north in the spring. Well, for many birds who can't get to the coast, our humble Kansas refuges of Cheyenne Bottoms and Quivira are crucially important because they're so much like their favorite homes, marshes. Here we go. Let me actually have a proper map. So there's Great Bend. When people ask where these are, I just say northeast and southeast to Great Bend. There's Cheyenne Bottoms up here in the top, and then we have Quivira down here. You see Quivira is kind of funny shaped. We'll get to that in a second. But both of them are crucially important marshes for our bird friends. We have so many different kinds. It's really fun. We have shorebirds, we have wading birds, we have, I don't even know how many species of ducks come through and duck-related creatures, critters, the swimmers. We also have birds of prey and lots of other animals live there too. So what is Quivira? Well, we're all Kansans, so we all know that it's not a city of gold. Quivira is, of course, the name of the city of gold from the Native Americans that were trying to, that Coronado was trying to find. But it's a fun name for it. And so the Quivira we see on the right was created in 1955. And through the years, it's expanded a bit. Now it's over 22,000 acres with incredible 21 miles of canals. You can see a lot of that here with the various blue, but I just find that staggering how many canals there are there. It's 14 or 15 miles from north to south. You see it's kind of funny shaped. Down here in the bottom is a little salt marsh where I've always had better luck for bird photos because they're a bit closer than big salt marsh. But you see it's quite a large area. And then down farther south, let's see if I can get this out of my way here. I don't know how to. There we go, hide it, good. Well, then down here we have the Refuge Visitor Center and headquarters. Yes, I know, it's kind of strange it's the far south end, but that's the way they set it up. We also have the kids' fishing pond, which was really fun, wasn't it? What did we see there last time?
Yeah, a young bald eagle.
Yes, we did. The best picture I've ever gotten of a bald eagle. We'll see that here pretty soon. That was pretty cool. When Michael and I went out on a creature adventure back in, I think it was March. That was neat. Then we have a blind right there to look out to a wildlife observation tower. And it's funny to see how tiny all this looks right here, because when you're there, it seems really, really big. You see that, Michael? That's where we started off. Well, then the blind is pretty neat, but I've never had that good of luck photographing from it. Maybe because I don't get there too early. The birds are I scare all the birds away when I get there. But then there's a road right here that you follow around the dotted line. Then it comes on up here. Something really neat to visit that's rather different if you come is Migrants Mile. It's this teardrop shaped little thing right there in the middle of the park. That's a really nice hiking area. I see lots of songbirds there. Every time I've ever gone, I've seen at least 2 deer, which has been fun. And woodpeckers. I see woodpeckers, songbirds, some raptors. That's a neat one. It's a neat walk. And then farther north, you come up to, I think is the main attraction, a big salt marsh. Don't be discouraged when you visit because there's not a whole lot to see here at the start of this red, which is Wildlife Drive. There's just not much there. But man, when you get down here, there are lots and lots of little ponds that you don't see on the map. And you can see all sorts of interesting birds, including our little friends, the
phalo ropes.
That's right, Wilson's phalo ropes. He was calling them spinny birds, but now he's decided to show off, which is pretty fun. My biggest complaint with Big Salt Marsh is that it's so big, lots of animals get really far away, too far for even really long lenses to be able to make out very well. But either Big Salt Marsh or Little Salt Marsh are just really wonderful in the at dawn. Over this map, you see there are 34 different wetlands totaling from 10 to 1,500 acres, which is, it's neat the variety of sizes, although to be fair, some of those are really hard to get to. Like here and here and here. Those are the main ones to go to, of course, are Big Salt Marsh and Little Salt Marsh. There's a little pond here next to Migrant Smile. And as you guess from their names, they are salty, which our saltwater bird friends really enjoy because, like I said, it's so much like their homes. And it actually turns out it's quite unusual throughout the interior of North America, where there aren't very many saltwater locations, especially not with good grass and animals for them to, well, worms in particular, for them to eat. And then there's the nice visitor center at the south end of the complex. So the next is what Cheyenne Bottoms. Cheyenne Bottoms kind of looks like a potato with a bunch of lines through it. And it's got a kind of a tortuous history. It's when I saw one of the stories why it's named that is there was a battle there many, many hundreds of years ago between Native American people before, of course, it looked like it does now, but it was still a big wetland. And the battle was so bloody that the waters in the marsh ran red, which is unfortunate. And then there was quite a bit of debate in the early part of the 20th century about where the water goes because there's a very important creek, it's Rattlesnake Creek, I think, that runs into it. And farmers, of course, were wanting it, but the state of Kansas wanted it for the Arkansas River. And yeah, it's a tortuous history, but it's very well protected now, and that's wonderful. You see, it's Kansas Department of Wildlife Parks and Tourism all around there. Then the Nature Conservancy has more green out there. But the Cheyenne Bottoms Wildlife Refuges, we know it now. Oh, actually, that's one important thing. So sorry about this. Quivira is actually a national wildlife refuge. So they're park rangers there. So it means there's different administration than Cheyenne Bottoms. But they all work very well together, which I really appreciate. Because if you go to one of them looking for a particular bird, they can tell you, in every case I've ever asked, if the bird you're looking for is at the sister site, which of course ain't exactly close, but it's not that far away. It's 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how comfortable you are driving on the gravel roads. So anyway, back to this. Cheyenne Bottoms is 41,000 acres, which is it's a much larger area than it seems like right here on the map. If you drive through it and you realize it's really, really big. And unlike Quivira, it is freshwater, which also means it gets different birds. Because you know that different birds like fresh and saltwater, right?
They're freshwater birds.
That's right. And saltwater birds can pop in too, but each kind of bird, they tend to prefer their specialty, which is nice because you also see different birds at the two of them. But both Cheyenne Bottoms and Quivira have recorded over 340 bird species, which is pretty neat. And this visitor center down here is really neat. It actually, especially for me as a dad with my 2-year-old, who's upstairs getting a bath, and my 5-year-old right here, it's really neat that there's such a great visitor center because we've actually been there for a program. Do you remember we went to go see the meteor shower and you stayed up way too late?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yes, that was very silly of Mom and Dad. And I'm not so sure we signed the meteors at all. Still, it's that they have the programs, they have really neat little classrooms with lots of animals. Very, very, shall we say, kid-friendly visitor center. As much as like Quivira, their visitor center isn't quite as nice as Cheyenne Bottoms, but still both of them are well worth a visit. So what do you see at these places? Well, birds. That's the reason I go is birds. Lots and lots and lots of birds all year round. You got shorebirds, wading birds, songbirds, raptors, and whooping cranes. Yes, the whooping, a large portion of the worldwide, of what's left of the whooping crane population passes through in March, maybe early April, and then I think it's basically November each year on the way north or south. And boy, you get people from all over the country there. I've seen, let's see, I saw Minnesota, which I thought was kind of strange. I guess I thought they got whooping cranes too. I've seen Tennessee, I've seen Wyoming. I even saw in Oregon, a couple from Oregon one time who were there to see whooping crane. And unfortunately, they've been disappointed. But hey, I think it's neat that they're coming to see them. Also, lots of reptiles, lots of snakes and frogs and turtles and lots of bugs. You'll notice a paucity of summer photos in my presentation because mosquitoes and ticks, basically. But hey, the birds love them, so okay, fine. Mammals, I have seen a number of coyote there. I've seen little mink, the little weasel-looking thing. Maybe it's a weasel, I don't remember. Badger, lots and lots of deer there because the deer know that they are pretty well protected there, especially at Quivira. The landscape itself, and inevitably you will find birders and photographers. So tips. Get used to photos of bird heinies. I have lots and lots of photos of bird heinies. This is a bufflehead. Yeah, no, that's funny, isn't it, Michael? That's a photo of a bufflehead because I scared it. As far away as I was, this is a big crop from a big long lens. It still decided to fly away from me. So that was disappointing. But certainly tips, well, dawn and also dusk. I prefer dawn because I find it easier to get into position. But both dawn and dusk are beautiful. Middle of the day is tougher broadly because actually a lot of birds leave. They can only come back to sleep at night. You want a long lens. The longer the better. I will give no focal length, just the longer the better. Oh, binoculars are good too. Patience. I don't know how many trips I've ever had to either of them where I actually saw the species that I was looking for in particular. Whether it's whooping cranes or buffleheads, and especially if you want to try to get a good picture of them, you've got to go a lot, over and over again. And here in Newton, that's actually pretty convenient. We're only an hour and a half or less from Cheyenne Bottoms and just over an hour from Quivira. That's pretty nice. You liked that trip, didn't you? So I say through the seasons, so let's do through the seasons.
That's a pretty picture.
Well, thank you. Yes, he was not paid in Twinkies to say that, although we may get another Twinkie after saying that. Thank you. This, as I said, there's the landscape too. I knew to get out to, yeah, this was Quivira, well before dawn one morning so I could try to capture the Milky Way. The sun was just, you could just barely see the light over on the left, but because it's so much brighter than the Milky Way, it seems really bright right there. But yeah, this is a single image I took on one of the roads. And if you go to do astrophotography at Quivira, you really need to take a friend because it's seriously creepy. Lots of weird noises. Yes?
What's in it?
Oh, Milky Way. That's our galaxy right here. See all those stars?
Yeah.
One day we'll be somewhere where you can see that without having to use a camera. You just look up and see it. That sound pretty cool?
Yeah. Just look up.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep, it looks like a ghost in the sky. A ghost of stars in the sky. And here is what?
The young bald eagle.
That's right. Like I said, it's my best ever picture of bald eagle. I didn't say it was a great picture. I just said it's my best ever. But this was pretty special because Michael was with me. We were at Quivira at the...
on a very cold day.
He said it was very cold. I was like, yeah, it seems okay. I got gloves on, but I've got rather more insulation than he does, shall we say. But yeah, this was back in March, and we were at the kids' fishing pond. And Quivira has a year-round pair of bald eagles that live there. So I wonder if this is one of their very large now babies. And he decided to give us a flyby. He actually flew some circles around us. Remember that? That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so we got the bald eagle right there. And then what's that?
Oh, it's my favorite one.
What was he doing?
It's a red-winged blackbird dancing.
He was preening his feathers and it was quite windy. So he was there up on the stalk of grass. And Michael, you want to show him what he was doing? You want to dance? We both just sat there and giggled while he did this. And he did it for a while too. That was pretty fun. One of the neat parts is about going there is when you go, since you're in a vehicle, vehicles actually serve as really useful blinds. And, well, more animals than when you're on your feet anyway, don't mind. Like you can just sit there, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 yards away from birds like this red-winged blackbird right here, and they're just completely nonplussed. Don't move suddenly and don't open the door, and they'll just be happy to ignore you. That's pretty nice. Do you remember what they were doing?
They were fighting.
They were fighting, that's right. We saw these beautiful, I'm quite sure they're swans. At least I hope they're swans. It's really embarrassing if they're not, but I'm pretty sure they're swans. And man, I don't know, one of them started squawking at another one, and then more of them joined in. So there was this big swan bicker fest. It was really funny to watch. What do you think they were saying, Mike?
Your mom's a chicken. No, your mom is an egg.
Your mom's a turkey.
no, your mom's a vulture.
That was really fun. That was neat to share with Michael too. I had my big long lens. I think you had the binoculars so we could see him pretty well. But that was fun to watch. Just the animals socializing and basically being silly.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
wow.
well, thank you. This is a pretty nice picture I'm proud of cinnamon teals. You see the male over here who's quite red.
Cinnamon and dinner.
Yeah. You see the male here on the left. And you see why they're called teals because of the teal color, but he's a wonderful red-brown color. I don't know if I included the better picture of him. Oops. But, and then here's the female. I really liked how they both had the same wing position. But this is a case of where my inadvertent flushing of them just driving along next to the reeds. I'm pretty sure this was Cheyenne Bottoms. Spooked him enough that they took off. I never try to spook animals, but unfortunately, just driving along, sometimes you do, and this is one of those cases. But they also landed like, I don't know, just 20, 30 yards off to the right here, so I didn't disturb them too much. Anyway, that was pretty special. This was a neat one from a morning when I went out to try to get photos of buffleheads, and I like you see the pretty morning light as I was looking off to the east or northeast around. I don't remember what that bird is. I think it's a coot.
I like that black on the picture.
Yeah, pretty cool silhouette. Oh,
Oh,
you know what that is?
no.
It's a bufflehead.
Bubblehead.
I know it's got a silly name, but it sure is a beautiful bird. The problem is I was out there to photograph them, and they made sure to stay way, way away from me. There's back here. Let me see. Back here, you see a little bitty migrant smile right here. Well, there's a little bitty pond that actually has a photography blind right there off to the northeast of Migrant Smile. So that's where I was, and unfortunately they knew it and they stayed away from me. But still, I'm going to try again. That was pretty neat to be there for that dawn. Something you can see in the spring are sandhill cranes. No, we do not get the number of the Platte River in Nebraska, the legendary congregations up there, but this was pretty neat. I saw them in the morning, then I hopped in the car and just drove along on the country roads off to the north west of, this was Quivira, I think, and I happened to find them out in the field. Lots of birds like to come to our Kansas fields, even in the wintertime, to find yummy seeds. Bad hair day, but it's a pretty cool bird. This is some really lousy weather. I was actually out with my wife this day. I think you were tiny. You were at the sitter. You can see some raindrops around here. I think this is, I think that's a merganser, I think. But again, a good case of even in lousy weather, you can see some really neat creatures. Even if the photo's not great, I still got it. Oh, and here's a small flock of spinny birds, Wilson's phalaropes. They're taking off. This was at the fairly early in wildlife drive around Quivira. And we drove up and they all took off and they just flew around in a circle and landed right back down. This was that same weather as this day. So really miserable weather. So they all got up in the air, just did a circle, and then landed right back where they came from. I don't know. I guess that's why they're called bird brains. I'm not sure. Sorry, I had to get that joke in here somewhere. And see, now you can see them all in the water. See all the male phalaropes and the female phalaropes. These guys were doing their famous spinny dance, where they do really tight circles and dip their heads in the water. They look really, really ridiculous, but they sure are fun to watch.
Yeah.
There we go. There's a male and a female together. Got some nice green grass here in front.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael, you remember what that one's called?
Spoonbill.
It does look like a spoonbill with that long one. That is an avocet. And it's American, North American. It's an avocet. And we actually saw this. This is from our trip back a couple of months ago when we went out with mommy and little brother.
Yeah.
This was pretty cool to see. You got the nice light and the beautiful colors on it. I just wish it was facing the other direction. But still, that was fun to go. All switch weather. Michael, do you see the bird?
Yeah, it's right there.
Yep, that's right. Right there in the middle. Again, this was on that same really lousy weather day I went with my wife. And you can see I got some pictures I was proud of from that day because, well, I've never been dumb enough to try that weather again. But I thought this one was neat, this environment with the pretty black burned ground and the gold and the little bird right in the middle. Oh, here we go. Here's the cinnamon teal. I knew I had that picture in here somewhere. And
like
sometimes,
that red eye.
I know, isn't it cool? And sometimes you can get really, really close to bird friends. Like in this case, And you can see their beautiful detail. You can see a little hint of teal right there. You can see the red eye and their beautiful red color. That was pretty neat. So summer, as I said, I don't go as often in the summer as I do the other seasons because of mosquitoes and ticks and working. And also the fact that dawn is quite hideously early right now. But still, you can get some neat pictures. I enjoyed this one of these herons all out standing in a pond all together with the color behind them. You'll see a lot of these are from the same day because I think this was my best day in the summer I've ever been there, but hey, it was worth it. I like this one. You see this wonderful algae growing on top of it, and you see the great egret. You also see it's not very deep right here. The water, I saw something where I can't remember if it's Cheyenne Bottoms or Quivira, but the water is no more than 4 feet deep. Like throughout the many, many thousands of acres, the water is no more than 4 feet deep. I just find it surprising. But that's why our bird friends can come along here. Egrets love both in the summertime because of the bugs and fish. Lots of bugs live in the water and then under the water in the dirt, and then there's fish, and then the birds can eat both. Yeah, they enjoy that.
What's that? Hey, there's one that's mating.
Why do you know it's mating?
Because the green around.
Very good. You see, I have a wonderful tiny naturalist right here. Actually, a big boy naturalist. He's not tiny. But yeah, this is during mating season, or close to mating season anyway. And I think this is Daddy, and that's Big Boy. Seems kind of appropriate right now, doesn't it, Michael? Well, thank you, buddy. Yeah, I couldn't pass up this picture. I love this. Yeah, the light's terrible, but whatever. I think it's really neat to see a big egret and a little egret. Here they are flying. It was really fun to see. One advantage of photographing egrets, they're really, really bright, so you can use really fast shutter speeds and really low ISOs. There's some perks to that, unlike, say, a red-winged blackbird.
Where are those?
That's candy. You don't need that right now. Michael, do you know what that is?
Is it a spoonbill?
No, I don't think I've ever seen a spoonbill there. What else?
Ibis.
Yeah, it's right. Yep, it's an ibis. It's a red ibis or white ibis. I forget which species it is, but that was really neat to see that.
It's a red ibis, but then you see some red.
That's true. That's true. There's another species called scarlet ibis. I can't keep them all straight. It also has that neat green right there. Oh, yes, Ethan, my little guy saying hi. Hi, little guy. Fall. This is when I've been by far the most. And I like this picture. What do you think? Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Even though it's blurry? Yeah. One advantage of getting somewhere early, well, you don't have much light, which can be good and bad. In this case, I just used a longer shutter speed. I think this was 1/30th of a second, 1/20th, something like that. You got the neat motion here from the birds. And I've been to both more often in the fall than any other time of year because of this. Let's see how well this works. This is my video taken on November 10th, 2019. I know it's not great quality in Zoom and everything else, but you can see and hear the cacophony of those birds. And I've seen bigger blast-offs than this. This is just my best video of it. That's geese. Thousands of geese. They are, I think they're Canada, snow, and greater white fronteds all together flying around.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is what I want to take you and Mommy and Ethan someday to see. Yep, I just took this last fall. And it is quite staggeringly loud. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. They all do this together. I didn't scare them, but it's a little bit, it's around dawn anyway. And the birds are like, all right, guys, time to all gather up and go out and find some food. Oh. There we go. Okay, good. Here's another take on that original photo for fall. A little bit longer shutter speeds. You have some, or a little bit faster, excuse me, shutter speeds. So you have some more definition in the birds. And hey, look, I finally got a competent photo of a meadowlark. I don't know if any of you have tried, and if you've had really good luck, I don't need to hear about it, frankly, but I've tried for years to get a good photo of a meadowlark, and I finally think I have some. I just kind of backed into success on this out there didn't even know I had it actually until I was writing a presentation last night. Yeah. But still, meadowlarks, lots of meadowlarks out there, which is wonderful to see, and dickcissels and larks and lots of birds out there.
Daddy, what is a dickcissel?
It is a bird that looks kind of like a meadowlark. It has a yellow chest, but there's not as much yellow, and has a very different beak. It's a little short, stubby beak, and it kind of sings like me. It doesn't sing nearly as pretty as a meadowlark. But still, you can see them out there. It's really fun. I don't remember what this is. I just thought it was fun. I love the really good reflection I have here in this photo. And these are all fall photos. More fun with motion blur. And I like this one because you see the sun's up pretty high at this point. And yeah, I'm really far away. This was a big salt marsh at Quivira. But you can see how many birds are just in this narrow field. And it went many, many hundreds of yards across. Yes. You done?
Why do all those birds meet together?
Oh, because they're safety in numbers. That's a good question. He asked, why do the birds all flock together? Well, because they're safety in numbers. The birds know that they are quite delicious individually. And if they don't have all their friends with them, then they're pretty easy prey for predators. You getting tired, buddy?
No.
You want to go see what Mommy and Barry are doing?
No.
Okay. That's a good question. And they're also all heading in the same direction, and they don't want to get lost. And yeah, that's a really good question, Michael. Thank you. So this is the beginning of a neat series. You see, it's a small portion of a group like this. So it's a different morning, of course. You see how nice the light is right here, but you have some snow geese back here, the white ones, and some greater white fronteds, and I think some Canada geese in here too. And watch what happens.
I see a Canada goose right there.
Very good. That's right. I have this series of them taking off together. And I love how this turned out. I don't know how I got quite so close to them, and I'm not going to complain, but I'm not so sure I managed to do this since. But that was pretty neat. I loved being able to watch them take off like that. And I've got more photos. I didn't want to show you all of them.
Daddy, I like that golden grass.
Thank you. Yes. And that's something I really like too. In the fall, the grass is so gold and pretty, and it's, hi, Ethan. And it's too cold for snakes and ticks. At least that's what I tell myself. So instead, I can just get to enjoy the golden grass. But I like this series here. Watching them take off into the morning light. It was a pretty morning.
Yeah. That's your best picture yet.
Well, thank you. He thinks this is my best picture yet. Thank you, Michael. Well, this one I do like because shows that not all your pictures are going to have lots and lots of bird in it. Sometimes you just have to get lucky. Like I just happened to turn and catch this. I'm pretty sure it's a gull against this pretty orange sky. Very special.
Oh, wow.
Well, thank you. Yes, he's totally not paid for saying this. You know what that is, Michael?
Dickcissel.
No, that is a yellow-headed blackbird. Very clever name, isn't it?
Yeah. Because it has a yellow head.
Yes.
I even see some white.
Yep, a little bit of white right there. Yep. The big fluffy guy all fluffed up. It was pretty cold that morning, but he was sitting there. And then here's the mommy version. So there's the daddy, and here's the mommy. And this is part of the advantage of a blind from the car. These are not crop shots. These are the full frame shots. And it's neat that I was able to get the bird. Hi, Ethan. It's neat that I was able to get so close. And there's no way I could have done that on foot. I had to use the car for a blind, and it worked beautifully. There are also some mornings where you just get a beautiful sunrise. I like to go out there with two cameras, even if my other one's just my little point and shoot, and set it up on a tripod and just take pictures back towards wherever it's pretty. My wife loves this photo. Like that one too.
Pinkish purplish. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
That's your best picture of a sunrise or sunset.
Well, thank you. Yes, this was a sunrise. Very good. And yeah, this, I'm sure I messed with this a little bit in post, but I remember it being every bit this vivid when I was there. That was a very special morning. Oh, what are those? The white ones?
Whooping cranes.
Yep. This is my best picture, however pathetic it is, of whooping cranes. This was a pretty cool time. I heard they were out there, and my wife said, sure, let's go. So I packed up my, I don't know, were you even three? Were you two or three? I think you were three. We were just, yeah, you were three. Yep, we hopped in the car and drove up and managed to see very, very far off these little white dots, but we could hear a lot of noise. Well, it's funny. Sandhill cranes are this gray color. They aren't particularly pretty like this, but up close, they are really quite beautiful. But yeah, there were hundreds of the sandhill cranes squawking, but we couldn't see them until we broke out the binoculars or the long lens. So, yep, we were able to see the whooping cranes with their sandhill cousins. Then there's winter time. And you see, it's another blast off moment. Lots and lots of snow geese right here, all taking off together. I've been quite a bit in the winter for the same reasons as fall. Good night, buddy. Mommy, do you want to bring him on down here? Say night, night, say hi to everybody. That's fine. But winter has a lot of the same perks as fall, except it's not migration season. So there aren't as many birds, but sometimes you can get really lucky. Big hug. Big hug. Okay, big hug. Big hug. You look at the screen and say hi. Hi. What are those?
I know.
I
don't know.
They're geese, buddy. One day you'll learn. One day.
Geese.
Geese. That's right. Juice.
Baby juice.
As you say, juice.
Baby
Juice.
juice. Baby juice. Hey, look at mommy.
I see that. I see that. Love you, buddy. You buddy boy. Night night, buddy. All right. Anyway, sorry. Back to our regular scheduled programming. Hope everybody's still awake. I can't see anyone. So anyway, winter does have some perks. We still have meadowlarks there. We have woodpeckers, as you just saw, and we always have some geese who hang out. And this year we actually had some very special friends who hung out all winter. I like this one. The two meadowlarks, and this one's fluffing up his feathers. It was a pretty cold morning. I just think that was a cool effect. You know who that is, Michael?
That's one of. Is that one of our buddies
Uh-huh.
from over there?
Yep, it's a little male downy woodpecker. How do I know it's a daddy woodpecker?
Me?
Yeah, how do you know it's a daddy woodpecker?
Because that red on top of it.
Yep. This was another case where I was super close. I could not have been more than 7 or 8 feet away from this little guy with my long lens. And again, it was because I was in my car. He just hung out there and posed. That was really fun. So I led off the presentation with that picture of the juvenile bald eagle. That's my best ever raptor photo. Oh, you want to go upstairs and go tell the brother stories? All right. Love you, buddy. Come on back down if you want. Anyway, all right. So one issue with Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms is while there are lots of raptors, raptors are very photo shy. And in this case, this was no different from usual. And yeah, that's probably my best ever photo of a red-tailed hawk from there. Not a great shot, but still. They're out there. Much better to see if you don't want to take photos and just go look with binoculars. Cute little sparrow I managed to catch on a beautiful morning. Like I said, there are animals out there all year round, whether it's 105 or 5 degrees out at Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms, there's always birds. So this was a neat one. Got this on one of my walks. And like I said, there were some very special guests we had this winter. I don't know if any of you guys were able to get out there. Let's see. Nope. What did I do? I missed it. Full screen. There we go. I didn't see who was out there. Anyway, I don't think I knew there were sandhill cranes out at Quivira, but or did I? I don't remember. But anyway, I got lucky. I was out there with a new lens to play with and driving around Wildlife Drive, and I looked over and I was like, "Oh my gosh, those are cranes!" Saw them just before dawn, so I was able to actually walk very, very slowly, very gingerly, and get closer. This was around Big Salt Marsh, the northern end of Quivira. And I got all situated and I managed to catch this blast off of the sandhill cranes taking off. That was so neat. But then they all just came on over and they landed down here. So I was able to go around farther. So this was facing west or southwest, and this is facing north. So this is the same group of sandhills, and there were thousands who overwintered in Quivira for a change, which is probably related to climate change, so not exactly great, but sure was cool to be able to see them. Showing them my sandhill crane photos from this winter. Oh, I'm sorry, crane. That was pretty neat. Have you ever seen sandhill cranes up close?
No.
Next time. So this was a really nice case of just getting there early and knowing my way around so well. Of course, it's a one-way drive, but still having some idea where they were going to go. I like these photos. So this was pretty special. This was that very same morning with the Sandhills, but this is up at Cheyenne Bottoms.
Wait.
There were a whole bunch of gulls out flying around. What are these gulls doing right here, Michael? For what? Where's the food? Or is it right there on top of the ice?
Oh, they're doing on the ice.
Yep. This was pretty cool. I saw a whole bunch of gulls, so I just got out, set my camera and lens up on a tripod, and just hung out and watched the gulls.
Daddy, is that ice?
Yes, it is. That's right. And it was so cold that there was a sheet of ice. And somehow one of these gulls managed to pick up a fish who's having a very, very bad day. And I got this photo and this photo of the gulls coming in to get some, I guess, lunch at this point, probably. But this was pretty special. I enjoyed this. This is a neat example of just hang out and wait. Sometimes you'll get lucky.
Daddy, what's the difference between a gull and a seagull?
One flies over a bank. Oh, wait, sorry. That's a good question. I think these are seagulls or Franklin's gulls or something. But I mean, we're not really close to a sea, so that's why I don't usually call them seagulls. Good question, though. I like the questions from my little naturalist. So that's the end of the main section. But now it's time for what might be my favorite part, the prairie chickens. So there are Greater Prairie Chicken Tours out of the Kansas Wetlands Education Center. That's the really cool visitor center on the southeast side of Cheyenne Bottoms. Okay, I'm ready. And he's done, no problem. You gonna draw a prairie chicken? Anyway, all right. So if any of you guys want to go out and see prairie chickens, I will be happy to try to help facilitate that. Kansas Wetlands Education Center and Manhattan's Flint Hills Discovery Center both run tours on some days in the spring. The birds use the same lek, the same communal dancing ground for many generations, which means we can find out where they are and we can set up blinds. This is really a really neat experience. And I'm still disappointed we couldn't do any this year because of, you know why. But I'm already excited for next year. That'll be neat. So just a few of my prairie chicken shots. Oh, okay. So this is a fun case. So this was taken on a Thursday in, I think, early April last year, or 2 years ago. 2 years ago. This was taken on a Thursday. This was taken 2 days later on Saturday. We go from beautiful, wonderful weather. I mean, we were getting kind of warm, sitting in the blind and everything, to freezing our buns off in a blizzard with the wind. You remember this picture, Michael? Prairie chickens fighting in the blizzard. This was pretty amazing. I want to see more of this. I was there with one other photographer, and the rest were birders who were there with their scopes. The photographer and I could have stayed there for a while, but the birders, yeah, they got done pretty. I just thought that was just pretty cool. I could go the rest of my life and not see that. An April snowstorm. That was pretty special. And then this is another one. I love the action shot. We've got this one coming in for a dive bomb attack, and this one sitting here kind of bringing it on, and this one going, yeah, I'm going to stay out of it. I love these pictures. I love the interactions between them. I love their colors. The wonderful orange there on top of their eyebrows and the action, the fighting, and sometimes they connect. See a little feather flying off right there while that one slams into it. I hope all of you have the opportunity, if you have the interest, I hope all of you have the opportunity to go out and see prairie chicken tours. Like I said, you're welcome to contact me. I'll be happy to help facilitate that, since I know folks who set these up next year if you're interested. And finally, my best ever portrait of a prairie chicken. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And now I'm happy to, I guess you don't know what to do now. No,
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Well, amazing photos. And so if you have a question, please don't be shy. Just unmute yourself and say it. And that, it's great to be interactive. And then those of you watching on Facebook, feel free to type it in and I'll relay it to Sean. There's a 15 or 20-second delay between what you see and what's actually happening. So,
Sean, this is Jerry Burnell.
Hi, Jerry.
What months did you say the prairie chicken tours were?
They are and like second half of March, and actually through almost all of April, every year out at both Manhattan Flint Hills Discovery Center and Kansas Wetlands Education Center. They'll pick like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weekends. There'll be a presentation, or there'll be a tour on a Saturday, and then there will be some during the week too. There are never quite as many as I might like, but yeah, they are. It's second half of March through basically all of April.
What
I'd
time?
like to do that next year.
You get there real early. So the prairie chickens are prey animals, and they know that they're quite delicious, which means they will hide, which means actually won't come out if they have any kind of disturbance around the lek. So you get out there real early for, I don't know, one of the, I think for Flint Hills Discovery Center, I think I had to leave the house at 3 a.m. Maybe it was 2:30 for the 2-hour drive up. And then there's meet, everybody gets up, then there's everybody meets up, then you get in the van, then you drive out to the drop-off point, and you have to walk over to the hide. So my wife thinks I'm crazy, and she's probably right, but I think it's worth it. I have every time. It's always been a wonderful experience. But oh yeah, you're getting up.
I'd like to do that next year.
Well, sounds good, Jerry. I think that'd be great. There's some other ones that I'm exploring. Jerry, do you know Bob Gress?
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some other opportunities
I've
next
sat out in the cold with him more than one night.
year. I would love to be able to do that. I think that'd be fun. Nope. Oh, enjoyed having Mike. Oh, Marianne said that she really enjoyed having you with me. Michael, thank you for joining me, buddy. I appreciate it. But yes, Jerry, that'd be really neat to do. And anybody else who wants to come on out and be crazy with me and Jerry, you're welcome to. The more the merrier, and the warmer.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I know that this club has had field trips in the past, so
Ooh, good
no
idea.
promises, but maybe someday that'd be a fun one to have a fourth Tuesday field trip.
That would be neat, Sam. Yeah, I know Curtis pretty well at Kansas Wetlands Education Center. Yeah, we can probably just email him now about that. Good idea. Neat.
Actually, I had kind of more of a comment. The ones that you
Huh?
took on that rainy day, sometimes sometimes you get the feeling, which I know isn't correct, that like nature photos, like the animals are posing for you. I mean, obviously that's not true, but
Mhm.
with those rainy photos where they're just living their life in the rain,
Mhm.
you get I don't know, somehow they felt more like more documentary to me somehow. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it does. I appreciate that. Well, for one thing, they were close. One advantage of that really terrible rainstorm is as you're driving around these places, you're driving on elevated dikes. So you're driving along a dike, and then on each side, it's much lower. Well, which gives you a really, frankly, lousy perspective most of the time. Well, in this case, they were actually, because of the storm, they were actually really close to the dike. So I was pointing much more down at them than you ordinarily like, where you try to get eye level. And in this case, eye level, you'd be in the water. And then, no. Well, for one thing, you'd scare the birds off. But in this case, yeah, it was more, I suppose, documentary style, more bird's eye. What a terrible pun. Looking down at them. Because we were also close because because of the lousy weather, they were trying to shelter as clumsily as possible and next to the dike. That's a good point. Thank you.
So do you usually hit both places on one trip or one or the other?
Almost always both, because frankly, they're close. I usually stop and get lunch in Ellenwood in between. I start off in Quivira because, to be perfectly frank, I do get better photos at Quivira because Cheyenne Bottoms, with the design of it, that potato, maybe I should have shown you the satellite view, but they're even higher dikes, and each pond is just absolutely enormous. And the birds know this. So the birds tend to be as far away as possible from the camera, which makes for somewhat less than great photos, at least over much of Cheyenne Bottoms. But Quivira, especially Little Salt Marsh, you are much lower and closer to their level, and you can just get closer to them, and it's closer to me, so I can leave half an hour later, which is appealing. Get half an hour more sleep. But yes, I do almost always hit both because, I mean, may as well. And even my middle of the day photos, like those gull photos fighting over the fish or the egret photos, I still think it's worth it. Yeah, they're probably not award winning, but that's fine. I'm not trying to win awards. I'm just enjoying.
What length is your new lens?
500 f4.
It's a nice lens.
Yeah,
It'll fit in the overhead on an airplane.
I haven't had that opportunity yet. Oh yes, I'm looking forward to when I do. Jerry has amazing. So Sam, there's a man who might be good to talk to. Not to put you on the spot there, Jerry, but Sam, Jerry has done some incredible trips, and he is an amazing bird photographer. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Jerry.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Do you ever use a tripod or like a monopod that you see people using sometimes, you know?
I don't use monopods hardly at all. For one thing, my monopod's not very good. So it's a chicken and egg thing. Do I not use a monopod because my monopod's lousy? Or I don't have a good monopod because monopods are lousy? I don't know. But most of the time, the huge majority of the time, I'm actually in the car because it's a blind and I'm looking out the window off to the left, and I have a beanbag I plop right on top of the window and just hanging out the window, just shooting like that. Like I said, I'm using it as a blind, which is a very, Michael, go help Mommy, which is a very useful strategy. Jerry, I'm sure you do the very same thing. I'm sure all of us do the same thing when we're out photographing wildlife because it's safer for us, like when we're photographing bison, for example. It doesn't spook the animals. It's pretty comfortable, and all your gear's right there. There's a lot of charms to shooting from a rolling blind. So when I am out of the car, which I've done, like for the gull photos, I was out of the car. Yes, I have a big, heavy tripod. I also have a gimbal for my big lens because it's big and heavy. Uh-oh, something kind of noisy. I'm going to switch to. There we go. Hope everybody can still hear me. Sam,
Yep, you're still good.
Okay.
Another thing you can do is pile everything up in the right-hand seat because 7 or 8 years ago, we had one guy checking out all the tripods and everything, and he came to my car and he looked and he says, "Oh yeah, luggage pod," because I had about 4 suitcases piled up in the passenger seat.
You're a very clever man. Yeah, I've never been able to get good shots out the passenger side because I usually just have my camera bag sitting on the seat, so it's way too low to use. Jerry's a very experienced, clever man. I'm gonna have to do that next time. Just load up the passenger seat because I can never shoot out the right side. I'm too far away. Good call.
Beanbag's still better than a tripod.
Yeah. Smaller, easier, cheaper.
People just don't realize how good and solid it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Well, I do have one. I just thought of these wetlands are man-made. I just wonder, did this change the pattern of birds migrating in Kansas to have these lands, or are there natural wetlands that they're replacing or supplementing?
No, they are completely, they are now man-managed, but oh no, they are absolutely natural creations. They've just been, like I said, managed because of the inevitable water disputes that is part of Kansas being a farming state. I love that both places have such wonderful management who work with the farmers around them to make sure that everybody gets their fair share. There's some issue with water rights where I think one of them actually has water rights over all of their neighbors and the other one doesn't, which means it could take water if it needs to, but doesn't want to. The one doesn't want to irritate the farmers and on and on. But no, they're absolutely natural, but they have been man-managed. With Cheyenne Bottoms is, because of those huge dikes, is less obviously natural. But oh no, it is very much a natural depression in the earth where the water from around the rest of that ridge, that mesa, collects. So no, that's a great question. They are natural, and because of that, and also because of they've been around for 100,000 years, probably at least since the last ice age, so 12,000. The birds expect to find it there, And on the years where there have been really bad droughts, the birds would really be hurting. But this is a case where the excellent management that both places have ensures that there is somewhere for the birds to go, especially something as wonderful and endangered as the whooping crane. If they didn't have these, I think I was talking to one of the park rangers, and something like, of course, there's not very many of them, but something like 70% of the world's whooping crane populations pass through either or both Cheyenne Bottoms and Quivira every year, at least one way or the other, usually both. And to be fair, that's only 350 birds. I mean, we saw more than that in one of my geese photos, but like 70% of the world's population of these spectacular animals go through there. That's pretty special. And yet never nicely when I go out there for photos.
How far away are they when you're trying to shoot them?
Atmospheric haze distance. I realized I do have some slightly better photos than that one I showed you. The one I showed because that was such a neat trip, because it was my wife and son getting out there, and it was neat to show my son such an incredibly endangered animal, even from half mile at least probably away. But that's, you win some and you lose some. There are some other people, some photographers who go out there who they are retired, so they aren't confined to vacation days or weekends like I am. But they've been able to get some really good photos just because they can get out there every day and they can just blunder onto them. That's pretty neat.
Mhm.
Oh, certainly. If anybody wants to sign off, you're welcome to. I'm happy to hang out and chat for as long as you'd like, but thanks for coming, everybody.
On a different tangent, what is
Yes,
the
Steve.
mechanism for the saltiness? Is that lack of drainage, or what causes that?
The salt mine outside of or under Hutch.
Mm-hmm.
As I recall, it's actually closer to the surface over there. And it's a combination of, there is some drainage, but I think it's a combination of the salt being closer to the surface and not all that much drainage that it makes it salty. I don't know if it's the same salinity level as the sea, but it ain't fresh. It is most certainly not fresh. Great question. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks so much, Sean.
Oh, you're
Enjoyed it.
welcome. Thank you. That was fun to have Michael.
Thanks, Sean. It was good to see you and Michael again.
Oh, thank you, Melody. Glad you could come. Sam, did you record this?
Yeah, it's recording on Facebook Live, so
Uh-huh.
you can watch it on there or rewatch it on there.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I really appreciate it. And we'll probably stop the live stream here in a sec, but I just wanted to next week, the fourth Tuesday will actually be held on the third Tuesday, and it's Dave. Because of a scheduling conflict, it's actually going to be the third Tuesday, but we're still calling it fourth Tuesday. So
Sure.
if we keep that straight, and it's Dave. I was told what the pronunciation is, but I forgot. So it's Leaker or Liker. Do you guys know? And I don't know if he's here. Is he here? Let me see. Anyway, it's Dave, and he's going to talk and show us photos of horses of the Flint Hills, and we'll be back on the same format for that. So hope you can make it to that one.
Well, good. Thank you. I'm excited for it.
All right. Yeah. Well, I will go ahead and sign off the Facebook Live.